Right, so as of now, good evening, everybody. I think we've got everybody here. Lovely to see all your names on the screen. And as I say, I'm Olivia, and I've got Karen sat next to me. So this evening, the webinar is all about open forum. What I'm going to do now, share my screen. So if you could just tell me if you can see what is on the screen. If you can use the text box and say, yep, I can see a DIA PowerPoint or anything like that, or just yes, if you can let me know, because I have shared the screen with you now. So that would be great if you can do that for me. Yep,
Great.
Fantastic. Excellent. So looks like
looks like everybody can see. That's
we're
good.
in business. So yeah, welcome, open webinar, open forum, and so we thought we won't come along with an agenda tonight. It will be your night. What we did ask is when you were all registering on our website was to send in your questions ahead of the game, just to give us a little heads up. Anything, any burning questions that you had or anything like that. But a couple on, can you repeat the main highlights of the licensing webinar that Mike and I did last week. So yes, we'll give you an update on that during the webinar. One person, I won't release the name, I can't remember it was now anyway, to be honest. One person says happy to listen to the wise owls. So that's
trying to be wise owls.
Yes, we will do our very best for you, given the time of day. Okay, so what we'll do then is launch into the PowerPoint. So welcome. New webinar software, GoToWebinar. Just before the recording, I did explain whilst we were waiting for final few attendees. We've got our new singing and dancing GoToWebinar Posh software by Citrix, so far more reliable. Enables our screen sharing, so that's what I'm doing with you now. We can record them finally. With the previous package previous software, we couldn't record webinars. There was an awful lot of demand for us to record, and that was one of the big questions, apart from the chat box issues where that got a bit complicated. And as I was saying, it was can you record it? I can't attend tonight, I'd like to listen to it. We couldn't. It wasn't a case of we didn't want to, it was a case of we couldn't do it, physically couldn't do it on the last software, but now we can, and it's currently being recorded. So everything is being recorded, so everything we're saying and everything that you'll see on the screen is being recorded on there as well. I don't believe it won't show questions and things like that and names. I don't believe it will do that. I've had a little practice run at home and it didn't show anything like that, so I don't think you've got anything to worry about. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Okay, so because we did only had a couple of you come forward. One person came forward a little bit later this afternoon, and gave us a few bits to talk about, which was great. We've included those. So what Karen and I have done, we've put together some really common, frequently asked questions that were asked at the ADI help desk. So have a listen and ask questions if you'd like to. So can I give Path Plus lessons in a pupil's own car? Is it legal? Is it advisable? Now, I appreciate some of you might be rolling your eyes right now thinking, oh really? And that sounds a bit basic, but to some this was a legitimate question by somebody, and if you don't know, then ask. That's what we're here for. So it's absolutely fine, and that's why we've included it. So I mean, it's a case of check their insurance cover, isn't it?
Yep. It's the case that we get lots of questions asking about insurance, and it really is a bit of a minefield. You just have to be very careful that any tuition you're giving, that you've seen the policy yourself, you're happy with what's covered, get the authority from the correct person, whatever it takes really to make sure you're happy that you're covered in any eventuality. Otherwise, it could lead to all sorts of problems, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as Karen said, check the policy yourself, making sure the insurance company know what the car's been used for. Generally, it's the person who's driving it or the people who are going to drive the car itself, and the purpose for what it's being used for you know, the general things that the insurance needs to cover. So you know, check the car is legal, clearly, tax, MOT. You can check with the losing the physical tax this, you can check it from gov.uk and check whether a vehicle's taxed. Very simply by putting in its number plate and manufacturer. So if it's a Vauxhall Corsa, put in a Vauxhall, put in the number plate, and it will tell you when it was last taxed, last MOT, if it's got one, etc. So it will tell you all the details. So quite simple to do. Excuse me, sorry. Visual checks, clearly have a walk around the car. If it's not a car you're familiar with, make sure, you know, wheel on each corner, all the lights are working as you would do normally. I don't mean this to sound like you're teaching you to suck eggs here, because
you could do that together with your pupil,
absolutely,
just to recheck on things together, make sure they still know all their show me tell me questions,
get them to show you what they normally do. So if you've trained them well, if it's a pupil that you've trained, then you shouldn't have any issues with that. So yeah, make sure the vehicle meets the minimum, well, it hasn't got to meet minimum test vehicle rules. For Pass Plus, I mean, yeah, it's slightly different, but use that as a good, you know, as best practice, making sure, you know, head restraints and etc. So yes, it can be legal, advisable. Yeah, as we say, it needs to be an agreement between you and them. I mean, what did you used to do when you did Pass Plus?
I think the issue that came up the most was when I asked parents to check policies, check insurance. They'd often say, yeah, we're insured, no problem, because they didn't, but they hadn't considered that it was professional and you're taking money for reward, and those things can make a big impact on the insurance. And I think it's really important to sort of emphasise that and make sure that you actually seeing the document is making sure there's not going to be any problems.
Sometimes the social domestic policy isn't enough cover, especially if they're taking tuition in the car, paid tuition. Then it generally isn't enough cover. So the insurance company needs to be told what it's for, and they will best advise. And that's the best advice that we give, because, you know, you don't know what type of insurance cover's already on it. So always speak to them if in doubt, really.
Normally they're quite happy, you know, if you call them and tell them, they're normally quite happy with that, but they need to know. I think that's the main thing, isn't it?
People don't realise, I don't think, do they? So sometimes it's not someone trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes, it's a genuine, maybe a lack of knowledge. They don't realise that you need to have separate insurance for that.
So if there's anybody else that's got any sort of further questions on that, let us know. Or perhaps using another car for, maybe even just for lessons or something like that.
Yeah. So okay. All right then. So what we'll do, I've got a hand raised from John. I don't know if, as I say, I'm a little bit new to using this as well. So there's a hand being raised by John on there. So if you've got any questions or anything, if you'd like to use the chat box and type your question in, that would be great. You may not realise you've done it. It may just have been you pressed something. So don't worry if that's the case. So
we'll come back to us later if need be.
Yeah, don't worry. We're going to carry on. So if there are any other questions, then please ask them anytime. Okay, so that's that one really. The other thing I just wanted to add whilst we're on the subject is lots of ADRs I know are a bit worried about training in somebody else's car. As long as it meets, you know, legal requirements and it's safe and all of that, then and it's, you know, as we say, needs the insurance, tax, MOT, and everything, you know, is all fine. Then, as you know, that needs to be an agreement between you and them. And also, you need to consider. I know it's nicer sometimes training in your own car because you know it. You've got the dual controls if you need it. But on the other hand, they've got a full licence. And so you need to make a call to say, well, you know, is it a good idea that I train in their car, because that's where they're going to be. That's where they're going to be driving. That's the car they're going to be driving every day. And that's the environment they're going to be in. So, you know, it's a good thing really to see them in their own environment, because it may have been a little while, a month or so, you know, since they passed, could be a bit longer. And so therefore they may have, started to get into their own little ways. So it's a good thing to sit there and see what they're like in their own environment. They might let their guard down a bit more. And it's not a bad thing really, because if it's anything that you can help them with it, and it's good that they do that with you, rather than mum and dad generally, a professional ADI. So it's I don't think it's a bad thing at all. So if I have a friend in the car, for example, and they start going a little bit fast or taking a couple more risks, maybe then they're driving. Some people can, not everyone will do, but some people can change in their behaviour a little bit more. So I don't think it's a bad idea if people do that with an ADI in the car. The ADI can then help them deal with it.
Particularly not if they've done higher speeds and they're not aware of how the car responds, how they can perhaps save fuel by being more eco-friendly. Different things like that, that will affect maybe what they're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. Yeah, all good. So, okay, right. So I think we've covered that one. So let's have a look at the next one. Driving lessons over Christmas. So very seasonal, very topical question. Yes or no? To do or not to do? So obviously over Christmas there is sometimes a little bit more potential risk of no-shows. I know when I've been out working at Christmas I've had that, and you've had as well.
Yeah, people make excuses for illness very easily and things like that.
Yeah, not everybody clearly, but you could have a little bit more of that. There's things like people being under the influence. They could have had a good night the night before, come to a driving lesson, they don't want to lose their money or miss a lesson or let you down, so they've come along, and they might not be in a fit state to drive,
and they may still be over the limit, more importantly, from the night before.
So if you can smell it or they seem like they're not able to continue, or they're not able to drive, to drive in your opinion, you don't think they're safe, then obviously it's a conversation need to happen and you need to question it. If any doubt, then it's no on-road training essentially, isn't it? So making sure that also tiredness is another one. They may not have been on the sauce, or they might have just been out or had a couple, perfectly legal to drive in terms of alcohol or anything, and but just absolutely, maybe they've they've come home on the milk float and still in their last night's clothes, and turned up for the lesson. I've had some people with very dark rings around their eyes turning up, and you think, oh no. So how do we deal with that? What do you think? What are the options? What do people think? Pop it in your text box. So just having a little look, we've got a question. If you could also, you guys and girls, if you could just let us know when you ask a question, are you happy for us to read it out? I don't have to say who it was from, but we need to obviously address that question. So we're just having a quick read of that. So, okay, I'm going to read it out, but I won't say who it's from. Where does an instructor stand if they are ill on a test day and their husband or wife, non-ADI, takes the pupil to the test? Can the ADI charge for the use of the car rather than tuition for this, even though they are not present? So are you talking about
them using the, we're not sure,
them using your car? Because they won't be able to use your car under the insurance, because your business insurance will probably state
it has to be you.
It has to be you, or a trainer, an ADI. So I don't think that will be a goer, to be honest. So if you are ill on the day of the test, and it's happened to me, has it happened to you? Or
for me, I've asked somebody else to step in. I've not lent my car personally to anybody else, because it states very clearly that it's under my insurance. The business side comes under me personally.
Yeah.
So therefore, I would ask another instructor who's to hand to help out, and they would take them to test.
Yeah.
Which of course brings on lots of problems where people are saying it's a different car, etc. But my view is, an ADI, is that people should be able to adjust. And if it's a case of not taking the test or taking the test in another car, then I know which one I'd choose. I think I'd rather have a go at that point.
Yeah. You've also added there the other person is insured on it. Sorry, just having a little reread of it really. I mean, so this is taking your car, school car to again.
I've not come across that, to be honest.
I've not come across that. That's why I'm a bit stumped on that one actually. I've not come across that. I've never heard of that.
No, I have to say, would you therefore be asking the insurance company to temporarily insure somebody on your car to take it to test? Is that how I'm understanding it?
I'm not sure. Because the other thing as well is if you're gonna, if it was legal, I can't say it would be, but if it was, then it's making sure that your vehicle is probably got your business name on it, and do you really want that if that person say didn't drive it correctly or whatever without you in the vehicle? Do you want that risk there as well? Because I wouldn't.
I personally wouldn't. And I think as well, your question was, would you charge for that? I think if somebody could take your car, I wouldn't personally charge them if that was something you were offering them.
Right. And you've just added if the other person's already named on the insurance policy. Well, I think that would be a good one for you to give a call in about. And what we'll do, if it's, it sounds quite an interesting question. It's not one I've come across. And we have to be honest here because we are open forum. We are under the spotlight tonight. So there will be things that we might not be able to answer tonight. But if you could email that question in to training@driving.org, then that would be brilliant. And then what we can do, Karen and I can have a little look at it without, being on a webinar, and directly respond to you. And if it's relevant, pop it in our magazine on our ADI help desk pages in driving instructor. So that's the best thing I'm going to say.
I agree. It's not something I've ever had a query on, and it's not something I've come across. So it just needs to be looked in a little bit more on that one.
Yeah. Okay, so coming back to the PowerPoint on here, just making sure that you've covered certain things, in your business terms and conditions. Hopefully you're all using business terms and conditions. I get the mick taken out of me here by Mike saying I miss his terms and conditions because they are a set of ground rules, aren't they? They are
vital, really.
They are vital, and it allows everybody to know where they stand in terms of this and that and the other. I mean, there will be occasions that you can't cover absolutely every eventuality, but you can cover the common ones. So you can cover lots of things like cancellations, use of car for test, and goodness knows what else. So you can cover an awful lot.
Over Christmas, there's lots of cancellations due to weather. You need to consider whether or not the bad weather is going to affect you. Who has to pay for the lesson? Do they have to pay for the lesson? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
People will worry about that.
Yeah. So make sure you have business terms and conditions in place. I am going to do a shameless plug. If you haven't, then give us a call. And DIA members can get a carbonated copy. I think it's about £12.50 or 80 or something. And it copy for you, copy for them, underwritten by, I think it's Fordmore and solicitors. And you can use those. Anything that you feel that you want to add to those, because they won't cover every eventuality. They are pretty comprehensive though. Then add it to it, attach it to it, and get them to date and sign the additional paper as well. I don't see any problem with doing that. And it just shows that, yes, these are what we've both agreed to. This is what I will do, and this is what you will do if in this eventuality.
Perhaps if you're going to add something in handwriting onto a form specific perhaps to that person on the terms of condition, is perhaps to get them to sign that addition as well as the signature at the end.
And date it.
Dating it so that they're validating not just the typed bit, but also the written bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So, your options if a pupil is not, fit for purpose, then, what do people do? Let us know. Other options, things that I've done, if a pupil doesn't want, I have sent people away when they're really in a bit of a state. I have to be honest, because I don't think that's a good message that I would be sending out as an ADI, allowing people to drive my car knowing that they're in a state they're in. It's not responsible. It's huge risk management implications, it's just not good. So, but if they're just a bit, or they're not feeling well, but they're not terrible, they've come to the lesson because they want to do the lesson. There are other options, aren't there?
Yeah, I think a couple of times I've had exactly the same happen, where somebody's maybe I have detected that they could be over the limit, or they're not quite with it. Maybe suggest, rather than them losing the hour, losing the lesson, that maybe they can do some theory. You can do some theory together.
Absolutely.
Perhaps, talk about some other, show me, tell me, that way they're not losing that hour, and you're also, getting paid at the end of the day.
Yeah. Lots of things you can do on that. So there are other things that you can do. Just if anyone's got any, things they want to share, the best practice or what works for them, that'd be great. Just let us know. So what if they want to bring a friend in the car? Well, absolutely fine as far as personally I was concerned. And Karen's in agreement. She's saying but as long as there are some, a couple of little reminders for that passenger. They're sitting in the back. That's fine. Just you need to allow your driver to concentrate. If it's the first time that they're in the car. If it's something which they are in the car, or they come along now and again, or even if they did start talking to that person, would you stop that conversation, or would you let the conversation carry on? What do you think is going to happen when we're out the car, the person's got their full licence, and that friend's now in the front seat, a passenger with them? Are they not going to be talking to them then? So I think it's a good idea to allow them to have people in the car. They can get used to the different way the car's going to handle. They can get used to the added distraction, because obviously the dynamic is very different between an ADI in them and the friend in them. Or they might even have a couple of friends. That's what happens, isn't it? We've all been there. So it's something which
I think it's quite. I encourage it, because
I think it's good.
Something like Pass Plus, where maybe they can't afford to do it, but they want to do it. You can say to people, perhaps join up with a friend. If you do it together, I'll give you a bit of a discount.
Yeah.
You've got a day together in the car. You're swapping over, looking at different experiences. It's a good thing, and I think it works really well.
Yeah, I do.
With more than one person.
And it's real life, isn't it? Let's face it. We want them to
have those distractions.
We do.
That's what it's like.
And that's what I was saying, we want them to have things like this, and it's good to have that experience with us in the car, because we can give them coping strategies, we can help them with it. So when they're without us in the future, when they're in the car on the full licence with their friends or wherever, they know what to do, or they can have things up the sleeve without. It's a fine balance. We don't want them to lose face in front of their friends, and but they do need to be safe overall. So
just learning not to talk sometimes when it's an important time, or just asking them how they feel, maybe with their friend there, and saying, how do you think that affects your person in the back? It can be really useful and a really good learning tool, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, whoopsie. Have I clicked too far? Hold on a minute. No, I haven't. It's all good. Sorry, folks. Right, okay. My trigger finger's getting a bit carried away. Okay, so this is a question that come up recently with Karen. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
It was. It came up yesterday.
So I'll let you handle this one.
Okay, so one question that not just yesterday, but I have been asked a few times, is about automatic manual licenses and who can teach with who. I think it's to keep it simple. If you've got an automatic license, then you are only going to be able to supervise or help anybody that is looking to do automatic. The confusion seems to lie with parents that perhaps only have automatic licenses. They're looking to accompany their son or daughter, and they're wondering, can they actually help them out with the manual side? And the simple answer is no, they can't do that. They must have the license entitlement for the training that they are giving.
Yeah,
the supervision they're giving.
Yeah, if that person's training for license acquisition, they need to have that license. I mean, it's a no-brainer really, but to many, but to a few people, it is a question. And the other one, which is associated with this, is the theory test. If I've got a full automatic license, do I need to take a theory test if I want to get a manual license? The answer is no, because it's the same category.
Yes, that's
category
right.
B.
Yes. I think that's maybe where the confusion lies, is the theory and then getting in the car, isn't it? Maybe that's where the confusion lies and why people have asked that question.
Absolutely.
But you are operating a different car with more skills, effectively, with the gears.
That's right.
So therefore, you've got to have somebody there that can supervise in that.
You've got an extra pedal and something you've got to do with your left hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes more coordination and thinking, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Well, in the beginning anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully that one's answered. So I'm going to move on to our next. So recently taken out a motor insurance. This is an ADR, from an ADR's point of view, because again this has come up very recently as well. Taken out a motor insurance policy recently for fully comprehensive cover on their car. So this come up recently as well, didn't it?
Yeah, we've had quite a few insurance type issues that are coming up. Maybe because insurance is becoming more complex, and there are more stipulations. So I think it's even more important that you check that you are covered.
Definitely. And as we said earlier, it's making sure, it's the drivers, who's driving the car, what car is it, and what's it been used for? Because if it's been used for, just social, domestic pleasure and maybe commuting, that's fine. So, for example, I've got my own car. It's not insured. It doesn't have a business insurance. I don't take training in it. It's just a private car. But I had to, if I wanted to go and do, drive somewhere in it for DIA business, I couldn't. I'm not insured for that. So I would have to then either upgrade my policy to include business,
temporary cover,
take another car. I think it all depends on your insurance company. I think some of them will do temporary cover, or maybe even like a part-time business, a couple of days a week, or it's just full on. It's either yes or it's no. I know my husband, he's got his private car again. It's his own car, nothing to do with work, but he's got business insurance on it because he occasionally uses it for work. But it's for his business insurance, so I couldn't use his, even though he's got business insurance. I couldn't use it because it's not for me, it's for him. Even though I can drive it. So it's a whole minefield, and it's quite a difficult one to keep up with, really.
Yeah, I think I had another query about that recently, in terms of somebody was saying that they had gone onto one of the online sites, and often they'll ask you very stock questions on these sites about your insurance, and they won't ask you necessarily that question, have you got dual controls? That's, they may ask your profession, which is a driving instructor, but that doesn't mean to say that you're necessarily going to use that car for business. It may be you use it for personal use. But the car that you've got with dual controls will have to be for business use, and they won't necessarily have that as a tick box online.
Right.
So it's your responsibility to, tell the insurance company that it is for business use, and that will flag up a lot of different options, and possibly they'll say, we're not qualified to insure you. You need to go to a specialist.
Yeah.
Good that could be people are falling through the net that way, and not being insured on a business basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, yeah, so again, read the small print carefully. That's the bit they don't, it's not shiny, it's not particularly pretty and sellable. So it's a bit they've got to put in the policy, and it contains some extremely important information. It's the boring bit sometimes, and we think, they've told me the main parts, but, also it's down to us to make sure that we are fully conversant with whatever we're taking out.
Or give them a call and ask the questions.
Yeah.
They calls are normally recorded, and they have to answer you, in the same way, don't they?
Absolutely, yeah. So always check if you're unsure. Okay, let's move on to the next one. What have we got next? Okay, right. This is an interesting one, because this is what we've been asked to include. Latest on changes to the driving test. So, in terms of use of sat-nav, so those of you, a lot of you will know what we're talking about. Sorry, creaky chair, if you can hear that. It's not my arthritis, not that old yet. They're looking at updating the driving test for L tests. So to make it a bit more realistic, so they're looking at proposals of using a sat nav, different manoeuvres, and show me, tell me questions on the move as part of the proposal. So an examiner with the sat nav, the examiner's looking to provide, or they will provide the sat nav. So if you haven't got one, then that's not an issue. They're going to get the candidate to either do 2 10-minute or one, say, 20-minute sections as part of like an independent drive with the sat nav, and are getting away from being examiner led. So instead of a 10-minute independent drive, they're looking at trialing. This is a trial at the moment, so it's set in concrete. They're trialing it, I think, with 1,000 candidates, aren't they?
1,000 volunteers.
Trainers. Yeah. So they're looking at getting 1,000 people, and then they're going to compare results from that to results of people who are taking the test as it stands now. So one of the things is the sat nav, as I say. The other thing is different manoeuvres. So, for example, driving into a bay and reversing out, and that'd be a car park, not necessarily an on-street bay. It'll be a car park, because when you go and do your shopping down at your local supermarket, we're all
Guilty of it once or twice.
Yeah, but also, is it guilty?
No,
I mean,
it's just sometimes the only way you can do it.
You need to sometimes drive into a bay. I mean, it's not a crime. And if you've got one of those supermarkets where we were talking to Mike earlier, and he's saying his local supermarket, that between the rows of cars there's like a little walkway where you put your trolley, and if you reverse into the bay, you can put all your things in your boot, no problem. And where supermarkets have included this kind of design, that's brilliant. But if there isn't, sometimes you need to drive into the bay forward if you've got a boot full of stuff, a trolley load to get in the boot, because otherwise you've got to get the trolley between 2 parked cars, or it won't fit, or you've got to leave your trolley at the front and try and run around the back, and your trolley's running off down the road, bashing into another car, and it's all getting a bit messy, really. So it's just sort of a Benny Hill sketch, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, there may just simply not be room, as you say, and it's got to be the easiest way to go forwards in.
So we need to, that's why they're including driving into a parking bay, and reversing out safely, because that's always something which, it's you've got less observation, and not less observation, but you've got less vision. That's the word I'm looking for. Sorry. And you need to have very good observation because of the less vision. Another thing they're looking at people doing is driving along the road, parking on the right hand side, against behind another parked car, then being asked to reverse back a little bit, and then moving away safely again into the flow of the traffic. Again, something which we need to do now and again, and that's real life, and it's not part of the current test. Show me, tell me questions on the move. So instead of saying, well, okay, before you show me how you use your demisters,
or your
wipers, or your fog lights, and then drive away when you're ready. They're going to say, drive away when you're ready. Now show me how you use whatever. So it's going to be more things on the move, because quite frankly, we do these things on the move, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. So it's much more practical, much more real life, and people will need to know where things are without being distracted, without having to look down,
or having to safely deal with these things.
So there'd be more things, I understand. There'd be things possibly like fog lights, additional things on top of what we already perhaps do for show me, tell me.
I mean, fog lights are included.
They are included, yeah.
They are. But as you say, rightly so, they've got to be careful where they use fog lights and main beam if they are going to be checking them on the move, because we don't want to be dazzling any other road users. So they've got to do it where convenient or where safe. It could be like more of a quiet side road, perhaps away from traffic, and then they're asked to show the main beam or their fogs or whatever.
I guess it's on the basis of, when they say the examiner says to you pull up somewhere safe and convenient, it's going to be along a similar sort of frame.
Absolutely, yeah. Can't be, put your main beam on now, and then you're dazzling half of London or
Yeah,
wherever
exactly.
you are.
Croydon in this case.
Yeah, that's it. You know, it needs to just be when it's convenient, when it's safe. You know, as normal, as you say, even when you're asked to pull up.
Yeah.
Driving.org and looking at the notice board for the list of test centres that will be trialling the new system. So what I'm going to do, actually no, I don't have it on the screen, but if you just go to our website, driving.org, and have a little look at the notice board on the left-hand side of the web page, and there's a list of test centres that will be trialling the new system. So as we understand it, the DVSA will be contacting ADIs local to those areas and asking, you know, if people want to get involved with it. There will only be a certain amount of people they'll need, because as we understand it, the trial is for 1,000 candidates. So there'll only need to be so many ADIs to take part. But if it's something you're interested in, have a little look on our website and see if there's a test centre near you. Have you been
Perhaps asked
already? You know, if you want to share that, put it on the chat box and we can read it out if you wanted to share any information on it.
Obviously, if you are going to volunteer for that, there will be a different process for you when you're booking your test, because we imagine that probably have to contact the DVSA to book that test, because it will be a different test based on the tuition you'll be giving.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's not going to be something you can just book online as a normal test. At that time.
It would be ring them up and see. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Ring them up rather than just book online. I'm not sure what the procedure is, to be completely honest.
No, but I'm sure if you're going to volunteer for that, they will provide you with all the information on how to go about booking tests and things. So it will be different. It won't be a normal system that you'll be doing.
Yeah. They might even give you a special hotline number to ring. You never know. But I doubt it. Okay, so I think we've done that one. So we're going to have a little look at another question. Okay. We've been asked about the webinar license changes. So we are going to get on that. So let's have a little look what we got next. Aha! Right, here we go. As if by magic. An email came around today to us. Might have been to you if you've signed up for the DVSA's newsletters or updates. The driving licence, the counterpart is now, it's the 8th of June is now the date for that to be abolished. We have things like lots of political things that could get in the way, like elections and goodness knows what. So whether anything will happen with it, I'm not sure.
It's not set in stone, is it? And it could still be pushed back.
It could. So I've said at the top, carry on as normal. Do make sure that from now on at least until the 8th of June, stay tuned for more information. But at least until then, the photo card and counterpart, the D740, will need to stay as normal. Nothing changes. So make sure all your candidates, if you see one about to put it through a shredder, whip it out of their hands, making sure that they keep it. Also, they're going to need that at the moment if they want to change any name or address details as well. So they do need to keep the counterpart. So nothing's changing for now.
And if they do by any chance throw it away just by accident because they may have heard they don't need it through some source, they need time to reapply for that counterpart so that they have got it for the test, just in case they have thrown it away. Yeah,
and as tests go, you cannot take a test without both parts of your licence, or whatever the current thing is for a licence. And at the moment, it's the photo card and the counterpart. So that needs to be, needs to stay current. Right, let's have a little look on here. What do we got next? I think that's about it. There's a couple of other things actually just to mention. If the counterpart is to go, because lots of people have been worried about what do I do, how do I check my pupil if they've got any endorsements, if they're able to drive, etc. we've had lots of questions all centered around the same common answer. That common answer is on the previous webinar that Mike and I did last Thursday. We have it recorded. We haven't got it on the website yet. That will be early in the new year. That'll be ready, as will this one. As I say, recording our webinars are a new thing for us, and we just need to work out how we best put them so people can access them easily for DIA members. So the best thing everyone can do is go to the gov.uk website, and it's and if you go to let me just type. I'm just typing the website on there on the chat box, so you will be able to see it momentarily. And it's gov.uk view driving license. You should be able to see that on there. So hopefully you can all see that. So it's gov.uk /view driving license. What you will need on there are 3 identifiers to access that information. You're going to need their license number. You're going to need the postcode which is on the license. So if they have moved or changed address, it's the postcode on the license that's important, and their national insurance number. Now, the reason for the national insurance number is to keep it secure, because you don't give your national insurance number out to people. It's not the done thing for obvious reasons. So what you can do once you're in and you've got those details, you can go in on this website, and you'll be shown, as I remember it, I've done it with mine. I've checked mine three pages. One is your personal details, name, address, etc. So you can verify everything's as it should be. The second page is the categories and things that they can drive and their entitlements. And I believe the third one is any endorsements and things like that. So you can view all of that on there, and it's all part of the government's digital by default thing that they're trying to do. So there's a centralised place to access this information. So all of that is on there now on the gov.uk view driving licence website. And as I say, have a little go tonight if you're all on your computers. If you've got 5 minutes after the webinar, go to the website, pop your details in, and you can have a little explore, see what you can see. Obviously, this does come up with some confidentiality issues. Some people, rightly so, might say, I don't want to give you my national insurance number, and I wouldn't blame them. I don't think, I wouldn't personally give it out either. If you've got a computer or tablet or smartphone, most people have got those nowadays, or that even your student has. If you haven't, you can say, okay, you can go to the website with the student present, get them to put their information in. You don't have to look at it. They can log in very easily, and then give you permission just to have a little look and see what's there. So
I suppose you could also consider putting something in your own terms of business to say that information is only going to be used for checking, booking a test potentially. Have it in your terms of business. When they sign it, they know that that's all you're going to do with it. That information is not going to be passed on to any third parties, and they can be, assured that it's safe.
Yeah. I mean, if I was a pupil on the receiving end of some training, and a trainer said to me, right, and you need this and that and the other, I'd be asking them, say, okay, how about we, go to that web page and I'll put my details in, and then they can view the information, so I've got nothing to hide, and that's fine. But I wouldn't want to say, I think it'd be putting people on the spot bit to say, can you give me your national insurance number? I wouldn't ask for it, and that's that's why they've included that piece of information, so people can't just look up details from other people's business.
It's a difficult one, because also people have asked, how do I check that information if I don't have that internet access on the day of the lesson? It can be difficult, but maybe you meet that pupil before for an introduction. Possibly it might be worth popping over there before the lesson itself.
Which, if you look in your national standards for driver and rider training, unit 6.2 design learning programs, it's have a little look at that if you haven't done already. Again, if you go to gov.uk website and type in national standards, and it's the one for driver and rider training. That's yours as ADIs. That's your job role, if you like. And that's what at Standards Check, that's what DVSA want you to, they want you to have that, most of that, or whatever's relevant parts of that, put into action. So just as a side thing, but if you look at Unit 6.2 in there, design learning programs, it does, say, check this out beforehand where you can. I know it's not always practical. It's not always practical to go around and see someone in the flesh, is it?
No,
Face
but
to
it's a
face.
nice introduction. Sometimes it's an opportunity to possibly meet the parents, to sort of go through some things before a lesson. I've often met the parents before, and
you need to get them on side. They've got the money.
They've got the money, and maybe they'll give you a check that day. For whatever.
Check the licences in order. Check their eyesight's fine. Check
any
the
medical
cars.
conditions, maybe.
Absolutely. Check the car suitable for them. They could be 6'5" and you've got a smart car or Fiat 500. You don't know, So, or they could be tiny, very, very small, and I've had to get cushions onto people in my Focus when I was training in that. So
it's an opportunity, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
So I don't think it's a bad thing. It just means that you are taking that initiative. It's something you have to do, and it just means that you can perhaps have that introduction if it's not possible on the day.
Yeah. And my analogy is, if you're going to have, say, an extension built or something big done, you're paying out lots of money to have something done. You want someone who's going to come around, introduce themselves, and say, this is me, this is my folder, this is what I do, this is my PL, public liability, and all of that, and this is, this is my insurance, this is this, that, and the other, and have a little portfolio with them, and it's nice for you ADIs to do that as well, and a lot of ADIs do that already, but again, it's not always practical, as we say, but where it is, do it, but where it's not, then telephone and email, send them some stuff via email or something like that.
Yeah, there are ways around it. It just means a little bit of planning, a bit of forward planning, really.
Yeah, and again, if there's anyone who wants to share any best practice, we'll keep it very quiet tonight. That's do that. Okay, we've got one person. We're not going to name names. We're going to be nice. One person has said to us they've been invited to a test centre in January. I assume that's all part of the trial. So that'll be interesting. Keep us informed. That'd be
good to know. Your feedback on that.
That would be really nice. And our number is 0208 686 8010, or send to training@driving.org. Always keep us in the loop. We'd love to hear from you. That'd be great. Okay, so I'm hoping that's satisfied everybody in terms of license updates from DVSA and what's what. I'm just going to move on now to another couple of questions. So in-car cameras, this again was asked if we can cover this. In-car cameras on test, right? In-car cameras can be used on an L test, but they must only face forward and rear, out the rear. So they must not film inside the car and must not record any audio from inside the car. So if it's really, those ones are, mainly for insurance reasons, the rear facing ones for any rear end shunts, things like that, generally. So that's fine, but it mustn't identify examiners and people in the car. That's not what they want at the moment. We've asked the DVA about having the cameras as part of a standards check. At present, the standards check is treated the same with the use of cameras, so no images inside the car and no audio. So forward and rear facing, okay, those are fine, but anything else, no, at the moment. The way the DIA, our personal view is we don't see that it should be a problem to have cameras inside filming people, and as long as everyone is in agreement, clearly, and audio, because it's part of your development, your professional development. You need to see how you got on the day. You need to go back and review it, because when you're under that type of pressure, you don't remember stuff, and there are sort of deletions in your memory, and things come back like 2 weeks later. You think, oh blimey, you know, where did that come from? Because you've got a lot going on at the time, so you don't remember it. So having a camera and recording what you've said or done, or not said or not done, is always a good thing. And so, you know, as part of our professional development side of things, it would be a nice thing to have. But currently, it's a no-go for now. So, you know, any updates from DVSA, will continue to provide you with that. Okay, what do we have next? Okay, right, this one here. Where can I get training for people with diverse needs? Okay, so this here is all part of a new course that we're doing. Those of you who have been quite switched on and seen our training pages, it's been on there for a little while. So we're working in conjunction with the company Surrey Drivability. The lady who owns that company is a lady called Sue Vernon. You may have seen or heard of her in the magazines, or might know her, I don't know. She's an ADI, one of our members, and also a occupational therapist, and she's one of the very few ADIs which is an OT in the UK. She's got lots of years of experience. She does a lot of work at Headley Court, where in Surrey near us, where soldiers have come back from war, and they have parts of them missing, to put it bluntly, you know, they need to be able to drive again, and obviously with
different adaptations,
absolutely, yeah. And she also goes over to Guernsey and does like medical referral work from GPs and things like that over there. So once every month for about a week, I think it is, and assesses people. And plus lots of other things that she does. And she's a very, very knowledgeable lady. And I'm going to be doing some webinars with her in January and February. All the dates are on the website, driving.org/training. Have a look on there, sign yourselves up if you haven't already done so. Webinars are free for you guys and girls, as always, so it won't cost you anything apart from an hour of your time to join in on those. We'd love to have you on board with those. She's got a course coming out. She's written a course for us. It's a one-day introduction. First one is on the 6th of March in Walton-on-Thames, which is a little bit down south near our neck of the woods. And she's also doing one on the 17th of April in Manchester. This course is going to look at types of conditions, looking at things from a mechanical, neurological, easy for me to say, neurological, sensory, cognitive, physiological, learning difficulty point of view. So covering a great sort of span of things there. Looking at licensing as well. Looking at symptoms and different types of conditions.
When you say licensing, could you just expand a little bit? Do you mean sort of medical conditions affecting the license side?
Medical rules for licensing and DVLA procedures. That's what it's going to look at on there. And working with individuals, so that she's going to put up some case studies of people who have had injuries and illnesses and things like that, and get people to have a little look through them in groups. So it's absolutely full of really fascinating information. I've done some work with Sue before. She used to run the Queen Elizabeth Foundation Centre in Coshorton, and I did some work with her for a few weeks, for a couple of summers and things. And it's a eye-opening world. It's the amount of adaptations and things that are available for cars is quite mind-blowing, and the things that people think, well, maybe I can't ever drive again, but they can a lot of the time. So it's absolutely brilliant. And often people who are in that position, driving a car again, or being able to drive, is a complete lifeline for them. So they need to make sure that they're able to to drive and to get out and about, because that's their life. So the only way they can. So this course is an introduction to this type of training. So if any of you listening, or if you've listened to the webinar after it's been recorded, thinking, oh, that sounds interesting, but you already do this type of work, then it may not be the course for you, because it's an introduction. It might not be a bit low level for those people. But But so, we are going to be taking bookings from January. So if you want to know a bit more about things, or you think, yep, that's good, it will be available to book on a website from January, maybe even from tomorrow, if our IT guy comes back.
We have lots of queries about people wanting to get into that line of work, and they often don't know how to start, how to sort of, find out information. I think this is a really good course for those people that maybe would like to look at doing something along those lines, and just giving them an idea of perhaps if it's something they can take forward.
And if there's enough take up, if there's enough people really interested in this, we will be having other things, routes for progression on this. So there'll be other type opportunities, training opportunities with Sue and us for that. Okay, so we're approaching the 6:30 mark, so rapidly now. So I'm just going to give a quick mention, and again on another new course. It's the driving license expert. So making sure that you can spot fake licenses. A lot of them, are done in a really bad way, and you can spot them a mile off, and others are done extremely well. And so therefore, it's how do you know? If you've even got a bit of doubt in your mind, then our course, in conjunction with Driving Licence Expert, is for you. So it's estimated there are about 40,000 drivers on the UK roads illegally after fraudsters have taken tests for them. Motor finance fraud losses alone are estimated in excess of £1 million a year. So this is a comprehensive online course. So it's online, so you can sit there in your onesie over, in the dark and cold January evenings. Karen's crying.
I'm laughing.
She's laughing. So I've said onesie online. I'm sorry. She knows how I feel about them. But I thought, go for it, say it. So it's an online course, so you can sit there in your, with your blanket over you and your laptop on your lap, and your sherry. And it delivers everything you need to look at your, personal and professional liability, limit your exposure to identity fraud, increase your professional knowledge, and also help you to feel more confident in your ability to check licenses effectively. The course has been written by a senior serious and organised crime investigator, sounds really serious, who is forgery detection trained to the highest levels, 30 years of police experience. The course will provide in-depth insight into the full range of relevant topics, looking at identity documents, imposters, types of offences even, fantasy documents, and many security features of UK licences. The course is accredited by the Chartered Society of Forensic Scientists, and who are the only international forensic professional body. Have a little look at it. The course can be completed in just a couple of hours, but it can be taken as long as you want. We're allowing people, a couple of months to do it, but really it's about 2.5 to 3 guided learning hours. You can dip in and out of it at your convenience, and once you've purchased it, you can access it and use it as a reference point for quite a number of months. It will come with its own certificate of achievement, and you can print it off yourself. So it's fully automated. So it's a great thing to do. And I went through it because obviously I need to see what's going out of here, being training manager, etc. I've had a little look at it, and I've picked up two things, and I think, oh, blimey,
packed with information.
It is. It is. And it needn't be one of these arduous courses and you think, oh, blimey, it's going to take me a year to do it. It's not one of those things. It can, if you wish to take your time with it, you can. There are 3 different sections. I can't remember I can't remember how many questions there are, but at the end of each section there is like the questionnaire that you'll need to do in order to pass it. So make sure you just take in the information as you're going through it. Really,
it's quite straightforward though, isn't it? It's not difficult in that sense. It's a case of just broadening your knowledge that you probably already know.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just had a little quick look at the chat box while I've been talking. I've noticed someone said, do you have a price for this course? Sorry, could you say, was that the driving with diverse needs or the identity fraud, the driving licence expert? I think it was the driving with diverse needs. we're looking at, I believe, £79 for members and £89 for non-members, because it's more of a specialist course, as this one-day introduction. The driving licence expert, we're looking at, usually it's £30 or £29.99, but the DIA members will be able to get it for around the £20 mark. We've managed to hackle them down, so that's hopefully good news for you guys and girls. Just having a little look at one of the question boxes. Have you had a little read of that?
The lady says that there's a lady that has taken her theory, but is not in her name. She says that they did this wrong at the centre. Would this happen? Not quite sure what you mean in terms of, would this happen with the DVS, with the DVLA getting the correct name?
So is it, so she's taken a theory test, but the wrong name is on the certificate. Is that what it is? If that is what it is, I
would probably try and get that rectified.
Yeah, I mean, it is a case of making sure. It is a case of. I mean, mistakes can happen. That's the thing. And it can happen. And obviously has happened. It's not particularly common, but it can do, as you've seen. So she needs to go back to the EBSA.
Just in case, just to make sure.
Back to the theory test centre, take along a booking information or the email, some identity documents with her, and just say, or just ring them up and say that this has happened. What do I do? What's your procedure? But certainly, yes, she needs to go back because she's taken it and passed it, but they might have given out the wrong certificate to the wrong person or something. It sounds like maybe it's just a case of that. So therefore, she can prove who she was and etc. Then they should be able to bring up her details and know that she's passed. So it shouldn't be a problem. But that's what we'd advise you to do there. Okay, brilliant. Okay, let's have a little look. I think we're coming to the end of this now. Oh, look at that. So, right, it's just gone 6:30. So we've been talking for an hour. Hopefully it's been useful. I will... I'm just going to put on there. You'll see a poll across your screen now. So what I'd like to, it's written in the present tense. I realise we're finished. I meant to do this earlier. My bad. Are we covering some useful topics? So put your scores in. That'd be brilliant. Let us know what you think. I know that it was very random. We didn't have an awful lot to go on, but it's nice. It's nice that so many of you came out tonight and you joined in the webinar. That's great.
If there's anything we haven't covered or anything you want to know in a little bit more detail, feel free to give us a call on the help desk, and we'll go through some of these questions in a bit more detail. If you want us to reiterate what we've gone through, we're happy to do so.
Yeah. Just as well, just bear in mind our opening hours. We are open half day tomorrow between 9 and 12:30. We are shut now, so don't all get on your phones now, because Karen and I have got places to go. There's life outside the office. So you can give a call in the morning. Karen and Mike will be here tomorrow. I won't be, but you can just let us know, as Karen says, if it's something you want us to cover. If any of you have not voted yet, there's a couple of you that haven't. I could say just tick the box which you feel is more relevant to you. Be nice if we can get votes in from everybody. That'd be great. Okay. Okay. Right. Well, I'm gonna close that poll now. So there we go. So thank you very much for that. And I want to say
Happy Christmas.
Thank you very much for Happy Christmas. Thank you very much for joining our webinar tonight. And we've enjoyed being here. So happy Christmas, happy New Year to everybody, and we'll see you. We'll see you.
We'll see or hear from you next year.
We'll see you on the other side. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye bye.